And there's many people who are experts in finance. But for me, if you've got a good nickname, I want you on the show. I purely picked these two people on the nicknames. Sally Mitchell is a mortgage advisor and broker, but she's the mortgage mum. If more people thought like this, they'd get booked more. Hi, Sally.
Hi there.
You're not even the best name. You're not even the best name. Please welcome back to weeknights. Listen to this. Personal finance expert, Lynn Beattie. Could have booked another personal finance expert, but she's known as Miss Mummy Penny. Miss Mummy Penny, right? That's a level up. That's Premier League.
Now I see the link.
Right, listen. Sally, if you're a first-time buyer for a house, a friend of mine's doing this right now. She's just about there after many, many years, and she's now going, right. She was like, can I rent a room out to cover this, extra cost? And now it's gone up again. If things are going to get better, as Mr. Bailey said, we're not off to the races, but we expect things to get better. Is your advice to first-time buyers to move in with mum for 4 months or 5 months?
Well, a lot of people are doing that. And I think that's a great way of saving some extra deposit to put against the property. The less you have to borrow, the lower your cost per month. And I've had clients who have given up their rentals, given up their, rented flats and moved back with the parents, sometimes to each of their parents. So they've actually separated so that they can, save that money to help their cause, because it's a very different situation to, 5-6 months ago. The rates are much, much higher.
You simply move in with a parent who has the best stash of ice cream. That's how you make that decision.
That's exactly what they do. Yeah. I mean, it's not fun for them, but, they are determined to get on the ladder.
Yeah, I think especially if, we're all different human beings. For me, I moved out at 16. Independence was really important to me. Any moving back in would have felt like a regression. So it's everything, mental health comes into everything that we talk about, but don't often mention it. So moving back
it's the mental health of the parents as well, having their grown-up children move back.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on that side of the fence.
Yeah. They've only got used to making noise again, and now the kids are moving back in. Right.
Exactly.
We'll leave that comment there, eh? Lynn, outside of that, let's talk about the immediate impact of a 0.25% increase, because of course the dominoes fall when mortgages go up, because that can affect renters, and we've talked a lot about that. But how does it affect people straight away?
Yeah, so if you've got some debt, so credit card debt or loans, then it's going to have an impact on you. So if you've got a fixed term loan, then that's not going to change, because that's a rate that's been set that you've taken out an agreement for. But there may be an impact on your credit card interest rate that you're paying if you have debt that way, which a lot of people do. But then sort of on a more positive, then we should see our savings rates going up a little bit. But what the banks tend to do, which isn't very fair, is that they pass on the sort of interest rates onto us on our debts quicker than they pass on the interest rates onto our savings. So yeah, expect those two things to impact.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. Sally, so then let's say these things tally, right? So there's an immediate impact on that extra 20, 30 quid, that extra 50 quid you thought you had. If you were lucky enough to have it, that's gone today. Yeah, it feels like a different situation. I'm reading Faisal Islam on the BBC website, and he says that could be the last. The pace of rises is slowing. Inflation is now predicted to fall faster than expected, and there's reasons to be optimistic. I know it doesn't help now, but is the target not to have inflation by the end of the year at around 2%, or around 10.4? Do we need to reappraise what is a realistic target, or could we reach that?
I wish I was in that position to be able to say. I mean, last week the Chancellor said we're looking at 2.9, or we're on track for 2.9 at the end of the year. That seems like a very big gap between 10.4 and 2.9 at the moment. We're nearly in April. Who knows? They say that the base rate should level out about 4.5 halfway through the year. And the only way really to control inflation is to increase the base rate. So, inflation's gone up. People are being hit with that in their pockets, in their shopping basket every week. And on top of that, now it costs them more to borrow money. It's really tough for consumers out there.
Is it too simplistic of me to say this or not, Lynn? When the interest rate goes up, then people with money make more money and people with debt pay more money. Because I'm trying to think of any other way you'd be making money here. But if you've your house paid off and you've got savings, eventually when they'll pass this on to you and you'll get more interest.
Yeah, no, exactly. If you've got loads of cash sat there in savings, then you can get pretty good like savings rates at the moment. So I've got some money in my emergency savings, which I do highly recommend people have like a chunk of money in their emergency savings. I'm getting about 3.5% on that. So hopefully that should go up a little bit. But you know what, if you've got £50,000 or £100,000 sat in that, which some people out there do, then yeah, it's going to hugely benefit you. But I think it's the sort of combination effect of all the different things that are just getting more and more expensive. So I was watching some stats today on the news of how much mortgages have gone up by. So we're talking like hundreds of pounds extra a month that people are having to pay on average because of interest rates being so high, this time compared to last year. So, and then you've got the energy prices and the food prices, and if you've got any debt, then that's going up. So it just feels like if you have less money, you're just being hit by so many different ways, and it's just getting completely out of control. And it feels like there's not much hope at the moment for people with less money.
So would you agree with, this is I'm not being down here, right? But I want to ask you both this to finish. So the idea that there's optimism and it's going to drop and we're in target for 2.9 and inflation will fall and mortgages will fall, is it not predicated on a crystal ball? I'm not expecting them to be able to say exactly what's going to happen. That would be hugely inaccurate of me to say that. But this month's surprise increase was because of many things, including vegetables going up, and we had Credit Suisse having to be saved, banks going bust in America. So we are one more problem away, Lynn, from having to reappraise all this again, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think we sort of need to see what happens over the next sort of few days, few weeks with this banking situation, because we've got two banks that, to be honest, were in a lot of trouble anyway. That the cards have just fallen and they've unravelled. But banks are going to be more cautious now, so they won't be as generous with what they're lending. They might be putting up interest rates quicker, so that's definitely something to watch out for. But I agree. There is optimism towards the end of the year, and inflation will start to fall because inflation is a year-on-year comparison. So we're going to be looking at high prices versus high prices. So we will start to see it come down. Right. But still, I think we just have to look at the fact that maybe if we looked at prices 2 years ago, we're 10% higher than 2 years ago. So it's but it's just when you look at the basics, this is what gets me. When I go into, Tesco's and I look at the price of pasta and the price of bread and think about how much that cost like a year ago. I mean, that's just the basic stuff, families with a limited income are struggling to pay for. So that's sort of the crux of the issue, isn't it?
Absolutely. And just finally, Sally, if my mate wants to move in with somebody and her mum doesn't let her, have you got a spare room for her as the mortgage mum? I mean, she's clean, she's a bit loud, but she's clean.
This could be a really good side hustle. I will say on mortgage rates that the vast majority of people have fixed rates, and fixed rates are not completely based on the base rate. They're based on something called swap rates, and swap rates have been falling and they're continuing to fall. So we have actually seen an improvement in fixed rates coming through. I placed one yesterday at 3.99. Now that is much, much less than we have seen in the last few months. Yes, if you're on a tracker, then you are going to feel it in your pocket immediately because the base rate is going to affect that. A couple of lenders today have actually said, look, we're going to be quite kind, potentially, and our variable rate, we're not actually going to alter that for at least a month, or in fact, we're going to slightly tweak it so it's less punitive. So there are things that are being done, But you can't get away from the fact that there's 1.8 million people who are going to be changing or coming to the end of their fixed rate mortgage this year. And for them, it's going to be a really rude awakening and quite a shock, because they will be paying more than they were.
Listen, thank you to both of you. Thank you for your real names and indeed your markers. And I'll speak to you both again soon. Thank you. Sally Mitchell here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on, and Lynn Beattie as well. So listen, from now until a slightly late news, maybe about 32, 33 minutes past, I want to have what I like to call a news conversation, which is what I like to do best in this show. And